Hey, my name's Miles. I play as Pikachunes. That's my solo project. I started Pikachunes probably like a year ago, out of necessity really. I had a pretty horrific skateboarding accident that involved me shattering my elbow, and I was studying drums at the time, so I couldn't play drums, and just decided to sit down and get really good at computer stuff and write and record some music to pass the time more than anything else. And then from there I was invited to join the band Pikachunes, and it all sort of stemmed from there really, performing with them, and obviously because Pikachunes is a solo show, it was easy for being on tour just to open up for Pikachunes and then play in the band as well. So yeah, it's only been the last year really that I've been pushing it pretty hard and actually playing shows and things like that. Ever since I got to Auckland, I moved here in March of this year from Christchurch. I just pretty much decided that I wanted to write and record an album. So pretty much the album itself is definitely a reflection of moving to Auckland. A lot of the inspiration came from being in a new city and being part of a different music scene, a lot more busy music scene I would say than the one in Christchurch. So yeah, I did set out to write and record an album. That was my goal, and then just through meeting Jonathan Bree from Lil Chief at a party one time, started to become quite good friends, and then played poker with each other and things like that, and I just flicked him what I had recorded, just sort of my demos of the album, purely for his professional opinion, because I respect his opinion as a singer-songwriter. And also as a label manager as well. And then he came back to me and said that Lil Chief was really keen to sign me up for releasing the album, which was awesome news. I mean, it was always been a label that I really wanted to be a part of. And then we've kind of really just taken it from there, pushed it really hard over the last couple of months to make sure that the release is good and that the album's getting out there and people are listening to the music. I've been gigging heaps as well, which has been great. It's what I really like to do, is perform and just really pushing getting the album out to as many people as possible. I think with releasing on Lil Chief, there has been a lot of people have in fact come to me and said it's a really interesting choice for both you and them to be releasing this particular album on Lil Chief, as you know, it doesn't really fit what Lil Chief has sort of built up in the past with their past rosters and the other albums they've released. I mean, it's not really that sort of organic indie pop in any way. I mean, the album itself is like a dance album and a pop album, and I think that's kind of why it works being released on Lil Chief, is the fact that despite everything, the album is essentially a pop album. That was the idea, is to make pop music and listenable music, and I think Lil Chief as a label has always been releasing really good pop music. Like, I mean, yes, they had a specific sound for a long time, but it was all still pop music. Like, that's what the label releases. So I think in that sense Pikachunes works really well with the label, because it is a pop album, and they do definitely have that sort of recognition as a good pop label and a good label that releases a lot of good pop bands. So once the end of next week will be the end of the album tour that we've done for this particular album. So once that's done, I guess I'm just going to play heaps of shows over summer. That's the plan anyway. I mean, it's a good summery album, so it'll be good to really just play at a lot of barbecues and things like that. And then the plan is just to keep the ball rolling really. I've been continuing to write and record music, and I really want to release another album next year, depending on how successful this one is. And yeah, really the plan for 2011 is to do a bit of touring overseas and kind of continue to push the current album in Australia and over in the US as well. So the plan is definitely to tour there, to tour Australia sort of around March, and then to tour the US later on in the year, maybe August, around that time. And yeah, just to continue playing shows, which is, you know, that's what I do, that's what my job is. So that's the plan for next year, is just to play heaps and just continue the campaign of pushing the Pikachunes album and Pikachunes songs. Recently I've been getting into doing a little bit of remixing myself, and I think it's a really cool thing to do if you're producing music, is to have a crack at remixing someone else's, especially a remix that takes a song in a completely different direction. Recently I did a remix of Tono and the Finance Company, a song that they put out called Barry Smith of Hamilton, and I think for me I just really wanted to challenge myself with a extremely acoustic and organic New Zealand indie band and put it into a dance setting. And I mean, it's just a hell of a lot of fun, really, and especially when you're picking songs that you want to remix. I think it's a really good challenge, and it kind of keeps you on your toes, really, as a producer and a musician, to try and rework something that, you know, someone has already spent a lot of time on writing and recording. But yeah, I love doing remixes, and I would say that I'm going to continue doing quite a few in the future.
And what about people remixing you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it totally cuts both ways. I've given my stems to quite a few people, so there's going to be some remixes coming out of a few tracks off the album soon. And I really just, you know, I like to, well, what I've done is approached people that I really respect as producers, and also people that have done remixes previously, and just been like, here's my stems, go for gold, do whatever you want. I really don't care, take full creative license, and we'll see what we can do with it when we get it back.
If you could remix anybody in the world, who would it be?
If I could remix anyone in the world, I think I would remix probably something by James Murphy, but only if I was able to work with him on it, not just him send me the stems. I'd want to go into a studio with him and sit down and nut out like an LCD Sound System remix or something like that. This is B. Miles from Pikachunes having a chat to Andrew from Cheese on Toast. This is my album here. You can buy it from the Lil Chief website, www.littlechiefrecords.co.nz, and also at all good music retail outlets. See you later.